Hello, it's Matthew from Matthew North Music, and this is me giving you the intro to my new video, which is done after I made the video. So let's get to it. Now this will look to you exactly like a bog standard desktop PC that you'd probably see in some kind of office, and that's exactly what it is. Now this PC is the computer I've had for the last 4 or 5 years, and I do all my video editing on it, I do all my music on it, and it works pretty well. However, it's got one little issue. The issue in question is occasionally when it's in use it switches off for no apparent reason. However, I believe the actual reason is that the processor is overheating. And usually the cause of overheating is that the processor is getting too hot due to the silicon compound that holds it onto the heatsink drying out. Fortunately, I have some thermal grease, so hopefully it shouldn't be too difficult to replace the grease that's on the processor with some new compound, and hopefully the computer will have better heating control. Though while I'm at it, I'm also going to install the contents of this box. Inside this box, I've got a gadget that I've been after for a little while, and I've just bought one of these on eBay, and hopefully it'll work. And that's this. It's a front panel mounted compact flash and various other card reader. And it's got all the usual things you expect: SD, compact flash, micro SD, and it's even got a USB 3 adapter as well, of which the computer's already got some, so this isn't particularly useful. Unlike a lot of desktops, this was designed for the top just to be taken off. You can see inside the machine there's quite a bit of stuff in there because I actually have 3 hard drives. This drive here is a solid state drive that has all my programs on, and then I have two 2 terabyte drives there that store all my data. All being well, this connector here will be the one I can use to connect the card reader to the motherboard. First things first then, I'm going to remove the fan from the motherboard. Well, the fan's got a star type thread on it, so we'll just drop one of those. Might even be the right size, let's see. No, it needs to be a star, not a hex. That looks like it could be about right. See? Yeah, I think it is. So there's a star driver on the end here, which I think fits this. No, it's a little bit too big, that one. Let's find a slightly smaller one. Too small. Let's try this one. Yeah, there we go. Just unplug it as well. So there's our heatsink, and yeah, it's very crusted up heatsink compound on that and on the processor. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a cotton bud and some alcohol, and then I'm going to clean both areas. And it's actually coming off very quickly, actually, it's good. Yeah, it's quite gungy, however, it's probably lasted pretty well. Now I have to do the same with the heatsink, but as you can see it's also very dusty, so I'm just going to take this in the other room and I'm going to vacuum this out first and then clean off all the gunk. I actually took the fan off the heatsink, and as you can see there's an awful lot of dust and muck in there. And by cleaning all of this out, you make the whole cooling system much more efficient. I decided it was prudent to also just give a quick vacuum out of the main computer, and I also vacuumed out the back fan as well. And we now have a pretty clean CPU cooling fan, all the dirt and muck has been taken out of it, and the base is nice and clean. So all I have to do now is to add some paste to the chip and reinsert the fan. You really don't need to add a lot of this because it will go out fairly well. I'm just going to stick a little dollop of this in the middle like that, and it should spread out when the cooler goes on top. I might just use a cotton bud just to pre-spread some of it so it's all evenly spaced around the CPU. Okay, that looks like it should be about right. I'll now get the cooler. Here's our coolers, go back in place. Lines up very easily with the 4 screws, and then we tighten them in. There he is in place, and all I've got to do now is just plug the lead back in. So hopefully that now should have cured the problem. The next thing I need to do is to install our card reader. Now the USB 3 connection I'm not going to use, so I'm going to leave that just tied up at the back, and I'm just going to install this, and this will be plugged in, and hopefully I will then have a permanent card reader on the front of the computer. Now another reason I like these old desktop machines is in general they're very easy to modify. And here we can just unclip the front and the front panel comes off, and as you can see it's very dusty on the front, so that's all going to have a clean as well. There we go, nice and clean. And what I forgot with these drives is these screws actually bolt on the side of the device that you want to put in, and then it just slots in and it locks using this this sort of locking mechanism here. So I'm just going to add these screws to the side of the card reader, and then all being well it should just slot in. Well, the card reader fits in place pretty snug. However, there's one slight issue, is that it's not actually fixed in properly because it's only a half length bay and it doesn't clip into the back. However, we've got this little screw hole here, so I can take another one of these screws, and if I wanted to be really adamant I could unscrew the racking and do the one on the other side, but I'm not going to bother, I'm just going to use the one on this side. And we'll just pop that screw in there. And these screws have the same size star driver as the CPU does, so it's probably a standard fit for the whole computer. Anyway, that's now in place, and that's not going to move anywhere. And all I have to do now is plug it into the little slot here and then tidy the cable up afterwards. And that's it all now installed. Okay, the PC's up and running, and I'm using this piece of software called Specky, and it's a piece, I'm using the free version, but it does give you the running temperature of the CPU, and at the moment it's saying it's between 53, 55, 56. Now according to this, the i7, which this processor is between 50 and 65 degrees, and some of the lower ones between 50 and 60 for an i3, 50 and 62. So mine is definitely well within spec, so fingers crossed the computer shouldn't overheat, but I'm going to keep the program running Specky intermittently just to keep an eye on things. Okay, as for our card reader, let's pop in an SD card, and it's lit up, which is a good sign. And like magic, it's popped up on the desktop, so I can safely say that this card reader is working. And there we go, computer's working absolutely fine. I've got a music project on the go, just started out at the weekend, that hopefully will turn into something that you may well be hearing in a month or two's time. Anyhow, hope you enjoyed the video. If you have, as always, please like and subscribe. And just one final thing to mention is that the computer I use for doing my music, for editing these videos, for editing all the other videos that I do, I only paid 150 quid for that, and I never ever pay more than 150 pounds for a computer. So when you sort of think about, oh, I'm going to buy a new machine to do something like audio or video editing, do think about buying something second hand first, because most of the time you just simply do not need the latest, flashiest computer. I know Apple owners will say, oh no, you've got to have the latest Mac Pro, whatever. But you know, we're talking thousands and thousands of pounds. And I would much rather spend, you know, 150 quid on something that will do the job for a number of years. And like I said, I've had this machine now since 2016, when I switched to doing high definition videos and I bought the camera I'm speaking to you on now. Up until that point, I had another machine. I don't think I even paid, I think I paid about 85 quid for that one. And that did the Secrets for September album. It did loads of other stuff. So very much you can do an awful lot of work on a machine that, you know, with a screen and a keyboard and everything. You do not need to pay more than £200 for any computer to do video and audio editing. Anyhow, see you on the next video.